Hello everyone, my name is Sheda and I am going to record some videos here for you under this channel. Welcome to our channel, evacdat.com, evakdat.com. Please feel free to visit my website, including finding out what evacdat means. The purposes here on the channel, though, is to focus on some issues that I discovered while teaching history. Now, I specialize in Iranian studies, or Persia, if you prefer its classical name, at least how Westerners called it. Iranians have always called themselves Iranians, and that's the purpose of the channel. We're going to talk about these differences and what do they mean. Now, the inspiration for my work and for these videos may be best seen through Robert Frost. He is one of America's greatest poets. In 1949, he wrote something in his notebook, in his personal diary, if you may. His favorites were historians. He loves history. But he was careful about calling any of their works history if the works left him in doubt. So that is the purpose of this channel and my website, where inquisitive minds come to visit. Now, my doctorate was based on looking at most popular Western civilization history textbooks that are currently taught in American colleges. I put the covers of the 11 textbooks that I surveyed for my dissertation, and they range from your most popular and well-known publishers. You have Macmillan, you have Pearson, McGraw-Hill, so you name it, they're there. And I understand that different editions can have some changes, but my experience has been that these changes are not very significant between editions. So for those who have a more scholarly mind and you want to dig right into the study and you want to see some of the references, please visit University of New England's Dune, digital UNE, to find and download the actual study that I published in April 2017. There's my name, there's the title of the publication, The Position of Iran and Iranians in the Origins of Western Civilization. Now, the one thing that we may notice is that history we don't get deceived in history, if you may, by reading lies necessarily, but by what's not there. It's the omissions that cause us to not get the full picture. Omissions means that proper definitions are not provided. Ancestral connections are not provided. The root influence, the origins of a concept or of an idea are not provided. So the reader, or in this case the college students that are taking Western civilization history courses, aren't going to see the big picture. They're not going to see the connection, and they're not going to see, for example, how Iran and Iranians fit into Western civilization. Somehow they just believe somehow they're different or separated, if you. Now, by coming up with the definition of Iran for my study, I went through various scholars. I listed some of them there at the bottom of the page, but if you go to my actual study and download it or look at the reference section, you will see the full citations. Of course, we don't have time here, but just so you know where the definition's coming from. So the proper definition of Iran is that the word Iran means the kingdom of the Aryans. It is a word that derives directly from the word Aryan or Arya. Okay, so Aryan is a self-designation. Both the Indo and the Iranian branch of the Indo-European linguistic family called themselves Aryans. This is so since antiquity. For those of you who may not be very familiar with linguistic families, Indo-European is pretty large. It's estimated at least 50% of the population across the world speaks an Indo-European language, such as English, Spanish, French, German, and yes, Iranian and Hindu Sanskrit. These are all related languages. Don't look at how it's written. It's the root. The writing mechanism is not important here. So ancient authors, and by that we mean the ancient Greek authors, the ancient Roman authors, and so forth, they knew about the term Aryan. The use of Aryan has a long history, and it translates into ancestral nobility, or a member of our group, or it just means us. It means nobleman. And not in a sense that there's a superiority racially, if you may, but that there's a superiority in visualizing the world, if you may, abstract ideas, sort of the ideals and the morals. And as we make more videos about what ancient Iranians and Persians believed and taught, then this will make a little bit more sense. But let's just focus here on what does the word Iran mean, because you do not find this in any of these survey textbooks, at least the ones that are popular and that I used for my study. And I have yet to come across it in any other mainstream material as I teach. So in Indo-European studies, under which the Iranian group is, the term Aryan is exclusively used to mean the Iranian branch and the Indic-Vedic branches. They are collectively called the Indo-Iranian before they split. There was a time when the two were as one. Ethnically, geographically, and historically, Greater Iran refers to various peoples across Iranian lands speaking Iranian languages. We're going to talk more about this in future videos. That is, who are these Iranian peoples? What are the Iranian languages? We will address those. Since ancient times, Iranians dwelled in many places, including parts of Transcaucasia, Central Asia, Northwest India, Mesopotamia, and of course the Iranian plateau, which included modern-day Afghanistan, and what's left of the Iranian world, Iran itself. And of course, Europe. Iranians lived across Europe. And this is going to be another focus of these videos to show you how Iranians are not Asiatic people. They're Euro-Asiatic. They lived in Europe and in Asia. They are part of the ancestry of Europe as much as they are of part of Asia. Now, Westerners often use Persia, the word Persia, as a proxy for Iran, even though it specifically refers to the homeland of one of many Iranian tribes, that is the Persians. But we'll talk about that too in future videos as to why Persia has become this interchangeable word for Iran. It is true, it is correct. We may use it because it's been used this way for over 2,500 years. However, we're going to find out later in this video that Persia or Persians refers to one Iranian group, not all of them. So in defining Iran, if we're going to collect expert opinion and discuss the definition of Iran, what we may take away from this video is that Iran is a word that's derived from Aryan. And Aryan, the word Aryan was a self-designation known in the age of antiquity. That means the Indo-Iranians knew they were Aryans and they called themselves Aryans. This is very important because many of these textbooks that I surveyed actually said that Aryans were a myth. There were no Aryan peoples. That's just incorrect. Aryan means ancestral nobility or a member of our group or nobleman or just simply us. There was a meaning to it. Aryan refers exclusively to the Iranian and the Indic branches of the Indo-Europeans. And Greater Iran refers to lands that were inhabited by people who spoke an Iranian language. This goes across Asia and Europe. Finally, the word Persia throughout history is now used as a proxy for Iran. So what's the significance on this? Well, the significance is that Aryan as a concept is not a mythology, it is not made up, and it has nothing to do with World War II propaganda. Iran is a word that derives from Aryan. It means land of the Aryans or kingdom of the Aryans. Iran is often interchanged with Persia. We're going to talk about that, most likely because the Persians became the most famous of all Iranians, okay? So their tribal name became interchangeable for Iran itself. Persians are one of many Iranian peoples. So again, remember that although we may use Persia or Persians to interchange it for Iran and Iranians, it's not accurate. All Persians are Iranians, but all Iranians are not Persians. That's probably the best way to remember it. Iranians have one of the oldest national identities. An interesting way to look at the significance is by Stanford University history professor Caroline Winter's claim in 2013, where she stated, quote, "The world of the American founders was one of what we might call cultural syncretism. They knew that the East was always in contact with the West. To the American founders, that was the world of Cyrus the Great. It wasn't a world of East versus West." Thank you for being with us. Our next video, video number 2, is going to deal with the definition of Iranian peoples. Who are these people? If we're saying the Persians are only one of them, then where are the rest of them and what are they called? So we'll talk about that next, and thank you for